somebody's overweight, they start intermittent fasting, say they do a 16-8, so they're fasting for 16 hours a day, eating within that 8-hour window, and they're seeing results and they lose 20, 30 pounds, but they hit that plateau at that point and they don't seem to be losing any more weight. At that point, do you go to some of those different fasts you were talking about, or do you look at the diet at that point or lifestyle? Let's take this hypothetical situation and help that person out and break through this plateau.
Yeah, it's a great question. So let's start. I agree that diet should come in at that point because a lot of people, when they start fasting, they forget that they got to think about diet. So I really like 3 pivotal changes that should pair with your fasting that will really help weight loss results. So the first is good oils, not bad oils. And, it's an easy change. Your taste buds are not going to care. But when you go out to eat, you're going to have to start to ask what oils they're cooking your food in. So bad oils are canola, cottonseed, corn, partially hydrogenated, soybean, vegetable, sunflower, safflower. Those are like the big bad oils. So get those out because they're making you insulin resistant. And add in the avocado, the olive oil, the sesame oil, the MCT oil. Those are nourishing, healthy oils. Second change, and this is beyond like even counting macros. I'm such a fan of people just turning towards nature's carbs, not man-made carbs. So just like we can't say all fats are the same, we can't say all carbs are the same. So just take out the refined, I don't care if it's gluten-free, I don't care if it's organic, take out the refined flours, the refined sugars, and lean into your potatoes, your rices, your fruits, your vegetables. Anything that came from the earth is a better carb. It's going to have more fiber. It's going to have a better blood sugar stabilizer for you. So make sure you're doing nature's, not man-mades. And then the last food change would be just avoid the toxic ingredients. I think the thing that has shocked me in watching so many people fast is how many people want to drink Diet Coke, or they want to, drink a soda that has some kind of like even stevia in it, like in their fasting window. And I just think if we can just take all chemicals out, if we can just drink water and maybe some coffee or some tea in your fasting window, I think that really, really helps. So to your point, cleaning up the food system is step 1. Second thing, you have 2 choices if you're getting stuck. One is you can move into a longer fast. So that's choice 1. That's going to be a hormetic stress for you. Or you could not fast. That also is going to be a hormetic stress for you. Now, if you're listening to this, you might be like, well, gee, the not fasting sounds a lot better. Might as well do that one first. And you're a bit right. I mean, I can't tell you how many people I have coached that have been avid fasters. They're not losing weight anymore. And the first thing I do is get them to stop fasting. And we go back to food. We look at blood sugar and how to pair meals together. And then we go back to fasting. We go to their favorite fast, and then I extend them into a longer fast. And for weight loss, just so we're clear, my favorite fast is a 36-hour fast. I have seen it unstick people's weight. That's what the literature shows. That's what we've seen. So it might be that you need to stop fasting for a couple of weeks and then go into, a 36-hour fast. That would be a really good shake it up so that your body can start to drop weight again.
All right. A lot of nuance there. And I really like that piece of stopping fasting if you're somebody who's caught in a fasting routine and doing that reset there. And you mentioned the fact macros, we're not going to count those, at least initially. Yeah. If somebody has applied, taking the chemicals out, the bad oils, and they've cleaned up the diet where they're eating whole foods, is that where you'd start to look at the macros if they're still stuck and look at carbohydrates and how much of those they're consuming?
Yeah, it's a great question. So to me, there's 3 versions of keto. In Fast Like a Girl, I talk about ketobiotic. I feel like in general, it's a good version of keto. It gives you 50 grams net carbs. And just so we're clear, net carbs are total carbs minus the fiber. So if you're eating a lot of vegetables and a lot of fruit with a lot of fiber, you're going to get plenty of carbs in and to satisfy your brain and your taste buds. So I like ketobiotic as like that middle keto. But I've seen clinically that we've had to actually bring people down into low carb sometimes. And low carb can be 10 grams of net carbs. This is like you're eating meat, you're eating protein. I even like, I don't know if we talked about this last time, but I like something called protein cycling, where you're bringing in protein every couple of hours. You're bringing in 30 grams of protein. The reason I like that is that it starts to stimulate an amino acid receptor in your muscle that builds your muscle stronger. As your muscle builds, you open up more insulin receptor sites and make yourself more insulin sensitive, which ultimately is going to help you lose weight. So the low keto and then turning around and increasing protein, and then doing that every couple of 2 to 3 hours with these 30-gram pulses in, that's killer. Like that you will lose weight really, really well. So that's another strategy. Now, the other version of keto beyond ketobiotic is that I often will pull, especially women, up to about 75 grams net carbs. And sometimes I'll even pull women up to 100. Now, let me tell you why. This is where the thyroid comes into consideration. So with thyroid health, and there's been a lot of talk in the fasting movement about this, with thyroid health, we have to have two things present for your thyroid system, hormone system to work. One is you have to have enough calories. So when people are doing one meal a day, that's not helping with the calorie. It's hard. I mean, you have to get about 1,200 to 1,500 calories in every day to keep the thyroid happy. So what I find with the one meal a dayers is that they just aren't getting enough calories in. Second thing is we really need carbohydrates for thyroid health. So if somebody's got a thyroid problem, I will take their version of keto and put it up to 75 net carbs or up to 100 net carbs. But again, remember, those carbs are coming from fruits and vegetables, and so that there's a lot of fiber in them. So that there's a whole lot of nuance in that. But that's kind of how, and I'm sure you've seen this, Jesse, where it's just like, we just say keto or we just say fasting and we just like give them these labels. But within these categories, there's a lot of nuance and a lot of personalization that people should know about.
Yeah, that makes sense. And for somebody who gets into lower carb, whether it be on one end of the spectrum, you mentioned going up to 100 grams net a day, all the way down to 10 on the other end of the spectrum. Do you recommend the person doing that? Again, we're using this example here to lose weight. They've hit a plateau and they've gone through all these different steps to get here. Would you recommend for them on weekends to cycle some extra carbs in, or would that just be stick with that keto or keto-ish diet until they get to their weight loss goal? How do you feel about cycling in and out?
Yeah. So for men and postmenopausal women, I love taking the weekend and upping your carbs because you're hanging with friends, you're hanging with family. And I also have just noticed over the years that it's easier to stay disciplined Monday through Friday, Saturday and Sunday. It's kind of nice to not be as disciplined. So for men and for postmenopausal women, I like that idea a lot. For cycling women or perimenopausal women, I want you to increase your carbs at 2 times of the month. One during ovulation, I called it the manifestation phase in the book, but I want, day 10 to day 15, bring up those carbs because you need them for your other hormones, but you'll also be able to support the thyroid hormones. And then the week before your period, bring those carbs up. And then the rest of the time, you can go down into that lower carb. That's how we dodge the bullet of getting stuck. That's how we dodge the bullet of the thyroid tanking. It really, I can't tell you how well that works for women who have an active cycle.
That makes sense. And taking this even further, as we start talking about pulsing protein and getting the carbs down to the 10 net grams per day, it gets me thinking about carnivore, which is becoming quite popular in today's health world. So again, somebody stuck and they're having a challenge losing weight. Do you find that to be a viable option? And have you used that with people with great success?
Yeah. So the carnivore diet is fascinating. And I think it's hard for people to wrap their head around a little bit. So let me tell you the science behind it. The thing about meat, especially clean meat, is that there is nothing for your body to react to. So we're back at the oxalate lectin conversation. What we're finding is people with gut dysbiosis, which is an imbalance of bacteria in their gut, or the terrain in their gut is off. Yes, when you eat kale, you're going to have an inflammatory response, and that's going to make you feel bloated, puffy. Your body's going to have this experience of feeling thicker than it is. You may even see it on the scale. So we've got to take everything out of your diet that your body could possibly react to, and vegetables are one of them. If you eat clean meat, you just don't react. It's crazy. The second thing that the carnivore diet does is it upregulates T regulatory cells. Now, this is really important because the T regulatory cells are part of what balances your immune system. So any autoimmune condition, even I've seen like SIBO, people who are reacting to vegetables all the time, if you just pulse in some carnivore days, you're going to feel all the inflammation go down. You're going to stay in the keto, in that low keto place. You're going to drop weight, and you're not going to be hungry. My only complaint about the carnivore diet is it's boring. It's hard. That's why I like to pulse it in. Like you would pulse it in on, for 2 or 3 days, and then go back maybe to your mid-level keto, or go what I call hormone feasting foods in the book. But it's a great reset for that metabolism if you're looking for that.
If you enjoyed that clip, press here for the full episode. I'll see you over there.
But what we're doing right now is we're just having women push on through every day of the month, and that's destroying her hormones. And now you've got PCOS, you've got infertility, you have mood disorders, you have menopause, perimenopause, like